Nick, I love your Twilight shirt.
Thank you.
That is adorable. Where did you get that?
Target.
Ooh.
Target men's section.
Oh, why do the men's like have such good t-shirts?
They do. They really have the best t-shirt selection always in the men's department.
Yeah.
But gender's a construct. And mythical creatures and creatures are a construct, like vampires. I've been watching a lot of True Blood.
I know.
I get it.
I'm surprised. I'm so glad. This is going to be a fun episode because we're talking about vampires. Should we? Oh, yeah. We didn't do the intro.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No. Hey, it's Nikki.
And it's Bree.
And we're
Late to the Party.
A podcast about the film, fashion, and pop culture moments that shaped us into the weirdos that we are. And today, we are talking about the vampires. So that's an Italian vampire. Wait.
That's good.
Scratch that. We are talking about vampires.
Ooh.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Nikki, your vampire accent's amazing.
Thank you. You know, I've spent a lot of my life, especially as a youth, having like very dark hair.
Yeah.
And being very pale and having a widow's peak. So, you know.
Do you identify as a vampire?
I do, yeah. But,
you know, since mythical creatures are a construct.
yeah. Well, vampires are an allegory. I know we are just starting this episode. Right at the top, I just want to say that, Brie, this is your wheelhouse. We are talking about vampires.
I know. I feel like I've been pestering you. I'm like, let's talk about vampires.
And I'm late to the party on it, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
The tables have turned.
They have.
But yes, I will preface it by I understand vampires and vampire lore to a degree. And then it's all like a blur. But I'm really excited to get into it.
Okay. I'm excited too.
Because vampires are sexy.
They are. See, that was going to be my first question. Do you find vampires sexy?
Yes. I would say like female vampires do have the edge over male vampires.
How so?
I think female vampires are sexier because they can like lean into the femme fatale aspect of it. And I think this is probably going to be my hottest take. A lot of vampire like dudes are very soft boy adjacent, but also there is something about them that if they're not like the bad boy, like if it's a good vampire who doesn't want to suck someone's blood, I'm like, get out of town.
Oh, really?
All of your good, cool, like all the things that make vampires hot.
Yeah.
You gotta lean into them.
So, okay. So like, all right. So like the Vampire Diaries. You've seen a few episodes of that, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on Stefan? Is he just annoying? Is he too wimpy? Because he's like he's like journaling all the time.
That's not Ian Somerhalder, right?
No, that is not.
Okay.
That's the other one.
Ugly one.
Ugly one is what the other day we were just talking about.
There's always when it's vampire brothers or vampires like dueling. There's the hot one and then there's the other one. And I don't know if this is just my personal taste. I don't know about the fandoms. So you'll have to like tell me about it. But
I think it's pretty split, but
ugly.
I think some people do like Stefan. I personally, he's not my cup of tea. He does like remind me. He's very reminiscent of like Edward from Twilight.
Get out of town.
They have like the same hair, the same kind of aesthetic. I don't know if I was really that into any of the vampires. I did think the doctor, like the vampire dad, was kind of hot. I don't know. I think like icy blonde, slicked back hair. Vampires get me.
So are you a fan of Spike?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But also Damon, Ian Somerhalder.
Okay. If we're on the Buffy tip, because you were like, we're going to talk about Buffy, I like scrounged the internet. I was like, I got to like retain as much Buffy information because I watched the first season, but I do know that there's a love triangle situation.
There is.
And the first season doesn't like...
It doesn't get there. I see, and I forgot because I've seen the series so many times. Like, I just think about like the love triangle of it all. But then the first season, it doesn't... Buffy does take its time introducing all the characters.
Have you like done a quick YouTube search of Buffy? So you're aware that fans like to put compilations together of Buffy and Spike to Take Me to Church?
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
It's like a thing. And I was like video after video. It's like Buffy, Take Me to Church.
Wait a minute. Because like, where is it? So I was going to watch a video, but I said, I don't need to see this, but maybe I should have.
I mean, those
is it black and white ones?
There's a lot.
How many?
Like a good handful. Like if you just Google, well, okay. I love The Take. I love their takes.
Yeah.
So I YouTubed like Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, The Take Me to Church. Like fan videos, and I was like, did Brie create all these?
That is genius. That is perfect. Someone out there is creating gold. Like, that's great. That makes me happy. Yeah. Also, it's kind of blasphemous because vampires are blasphemous. Like going to church. I mean, I guess that song is a little as well.
Yeah. Well, that song, at least the music video, it talks about gay rights.
Yeah.
And I've been watching a lot of True Blood, and that above all else is like, oh, vampires are an allegory for, the LGBTQ plus community and, forbidden things involving sexuality and sex. And
that's true. It is very complex when you think about it.
And vampires are taboo and sexual just inherently.
Yeah.
So they're always like from my understanding, just from the years in the century, the 20th century to the 21st, lots of vampires in the LGBTQ plus community.
That's correct.
So it's like
it's a fact. That is correct.
It's like a fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a thing. I don't know what my point was, but
that is something interesting to notice though. Like I noticed that too. Cause I found I created a list of what I think ties so many vampire movies, series together. What makes a good one?
Yeah, what makes a vampire film or TV show?
First off, hotties. You gotta have hot people. Hot vampires, hot humans, maybe a hot werewolf. A love triangle, obviously. I feel like all these, so we watched a whole bunch of things. I was like, we have I gave us assignment.
Well, and you know what? I understood the assignment.
You did.
Or I hope I did. I'm just like, gay rights.
No, I love it.
Before we get down the list, what started your fascination with vampires?
Oh. Huh. I don't know. I've always been fascinated from an early age, and I'm not sure why. I did see Bram Stoker's Dracula when I was 5 or 6, and probably too soon because I remember being like, oh wow, there's naked people. I don't think I should be seeing this.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm immediately I wanted to be a vampire.
You're like Queen of the Damned.
Maybe I'm gay. No, I don't know. I did see Queen of the Damned for the first time when I was I don't know, 13.
Okay, so
yeah.
You didn't.
I mean, I still felt like I probably shouldn't see some scenes in that, but I was like, oh, eh. But yeah, I don't know why exactly. I've always just kind of been interested. I've always thought it was a cool fantasy, to be a vampire, to live forever, look glamorous.
Do you want to be the vampire, or do you want to fall in love with the vampire?
I think I want to be the vampire. Yeah. Just, I don't know. And blood doesn't really bother me. So I'm I don't know. That sounds weird. I'm ooh, blood.
Oh.
But I don't know. How do you feel? Because I know you don't have the same feelings with blood. I know that weirds you out.
So I don't like blood.
Could you be a vampire? Would you want to be? The idea of being a vampire, is it glamorous or nah?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think vampires are hot. I think vampires are sexy. I understand the allure, especially if a vampire looks like Ian Somerhalder.
Yeah.
Then yeah.
That's what would get you.
Yeah.
If Ian Somerhalder was around, if he was a vampire, you might succumb
totally
to his dark ways.
But also, I really like the vampire aesthetic.
Yeah.
So much of what I associate with vampires, because we grew up in the Twilight era. Mm-hmm. I have vivid memories of Twilight pandemonium and everything else that came before it. Well, for one, I didn't realize how big of a chokehold vampires had on the late 2000s, early 2010s.
I feel like they did.
And it was all in the winter, fall of 2008 when the world changed, when the world turned into vampire lovers.
Yeah.
Like Vampire Diaries, Twilight, True Blood.
You know what's interesting too? The Vampire Diaries, I think the series came out, I think they came out after Twilight, but like it was written before Twilight. Isn't that crazy?
Well,
I don't know. It was just on the brain. It was like a collective unconscious.
Well, True Blood came out like literally the same time as Twilight.
Oh, I always forget because I was late to the party on True Blood.
All I remember about True Blood is that iconic Rolling Stone cover where all three of them, where it's like Stephen Moyer, Anna Paquin, and then Alexander Skarsgård, my man.
Yep.
Just like in blood, like naked. Because True Blood was all about sex.
Yes.
Like Twilight was very like, let's get our purity rings on. Let's wait to have sex.
That's so
and
true.
True Blood, which came out right at the same time, was like sex. But what was my point about vampires? Oh, during this time, I was into very different things. Not vampires.
What were you
but
into?
I'm aware. Well, vampire adjacent. I was very into Lady Gaga.
Ooh.
Like Fame Monster era.
Yeah.
And I say adjacent because the Fame Monster era, as you know, leans into certain aesthetics that are a little bit like vampires. Like,
yeah.
Lady Gaga with the crazy like vampire, like Elvira shoulder pads and like red lip, pale skin, like Bad Romance.
I know what you mean.
It gives those vibes. I know that's 2009, but we're in that world.
Still, yeah.
And the only reason I really know about the True Blood Rolling Stone cover was because this was around the same time that I subscribed to Rolling Stone because Lady Gaga was on the cover. And she's in that like bikini with the crazy bra with the flames coming out and her like butt's out.
I love that.
And she's in like the Alejandro like choppy German lady wig. So needless to say, very into it. Jennifer's Body is one of my favorite films. My mood board is always like Megan Fox circa 2009 premiere of Jennifer's Body. Like,
so you've always been like adjacent, like just like the vampires have been like you haven't dove fully in.
No,
but you've been like, oh, I see you.
Also, I've been a teenage girl, so I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
What is it? Like, it's so interesting to me that so many like vampire, like either like movies or shows like center around like the main character being a teenage girl and having like a vampire fantasy.
They're the only ones naive enough to succumb. Because as someone with their frontal lobe officially fully developed, if I ran into like an Edward Cullen, I meet his family.
You get the red flags.
I hear about his story. I'd have the red flags and that would be fine. Like I would probably take all those red flags and make them green. But the thing that would stop me would be like, oh, wait a second. You've been 17 since like the 1800s and you want to hang out with me, a 17-year-old girl?
Oh yeah.
And that's like, you don't wait. But you've lived so long. The power dynamic, like, what a creep.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
To follow up. Do you think like Vampire Diaries makes more sense than Twilight? Or because like Stefan, I feel like he's very Edward coded. However, he goes like, it is still a little weird, but he goes to the high school because he sees Elena and she looks a lot like Catherine, which was his long lost love or whatever. So he has like a motivation sort of. I mean, it's still kind of weird, but
I mean, that almost makes it worse.
There is that. Yeah.
That is so
is that
creepy.
Worse?
No, well, yeah, that's like,
you're like, that's way worse.
That's way worse.
Lock him up.
Yeah, no, lock him up.
Oh, yeah. These vampires be creepy.
So creepy. They're preying. I don't mean like sinking their teeth into them, but they're preying on teenage girls.
Yeah.
Get out of town.
It is a little wild.
But that's the extent of my vampire knowledge. It's really limited. I mean, I've seen all the Twilights.
Yeah.
I have now seen the first season of True Blood, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and the Vampire Diaries. Not enough to really get into the lore of any of them.
I know. There's so much lore, I will say. Like, it's so layered. Because, like, the more you watch, the more things they'll reveal. So, it's, you know. That is definitely... I don't know why I put all those things on there.
No, I loved it. I loved it because they're so similar, yet so different. Also, the way I responded to them surprised me.
Yeah. Like, what was your initial thoughts going into, like, I don't know, like the Vampire Diaries or...
Well, you told me, Nikki, you are going to love the Vampire Diaries and you're not going to like True Blood. And then everyone that I was like, oh yeah, we're doing an episode on vampires. They're like, you're going to love Buffy.
Yes. I knew you would love Buffy.
Well,
I think, unless you don't, which is fine.
Well,
you don't have to.
Because I've seen all those Take Me to Church compilations, I understand how juicy it's gonna get.
It gets juicy, yeah.
And I haven't seen, I've seen like 1997 Sarah Michelle Gellar, 97 SMG. I haven't seen like 2002, like looking like Coyote Ugly Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh my gosh, when she transforms. What I love about Buffy is like her style transformation. You don't get to see a whole lot. I feel like she already starts out with good style, but then when she starts wearing leather pants.
Well, and see, that's
you got to get to
I would
that
like
part.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really wasn't into season 1 of Buffy.
All right.
Terribly.
Yeah.
But also it is one of those things where Joss Whedon, we have as a society have a lot of opinions about him now.
Yeah.
But I like his dialogue and everything. I've just heard it before. So I can't imagine being a kid and watching Buffy and like being like, oh my God, she's a vampire slayer. She's kick ass. But then also being like, this is a really funny, clever show. Like it doesn't hit the exact same in 2024, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. And it is kind of cheesy in a lot of ways, like watching it now.
Iconic though.
Yeah.
But I was taken out by the Vampire Diaries. That pilot episode. Oh my God.
Like how so? Like in a funny way? Like you found it funny or like
it was wild. I was sold from that pilot episode just for the nostalgia factor alone. Because we do talk about a lot of things on Late to the Party on the show where we're like, what is it like to be in the 90s? Mm-hmm. But I know what it's like to be in 2009.
Yes.
And
you remember, right?
I remember. I like felt it in my bones. It was a very interesting thing. Also, those needle drops. That's what took me out.
Well, that's what made me think of you too, because there's like a Frey needle drop at the end of the first episode, I think. And it's what is it? Like Never Let Me Go or no, Never Say Never. Is it Never?
Oh man.
You know what I'm talking about?
There's so many. I think in just the first episode, it's like the Frey, the script. It's like anything that you'd put on a Frey radio Spotify playlist.
There's also a cover of Running Up That Hill.
Yes.
Which I didn't remember at the time. Like at the time, I don't know if I noticed. It's like an emo cover. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the first time I ever heard that song.
Wow.
Yeah, because I remember vividly, like recently when I watched the last season, the most recent season of Stranger Things. And you know how everyone was obsessed with Kate Bush just running up that hill. And I'm like, why is this song so familiar? I'm pretty sure it's because I heard it in Vampire Diaries.
I mean, okay. My knowledge of music is really from Gossip Girl. So,
yeah.
The
Vampire Diaries just doing the
that
Lord's
was your
work.
Gossip
That was
Girl.
my Gossip Girl.
I mean, so that was just like a blast from the past. I was hooting and hollering, cackling.
MGMT, they also play kids.
Yes, they do.
Iconic.
Which I'm like the CW. It was this on the CW. Mm-hmm. That CW shmoney for those like the music rights.
Yeah, the CW. You'd find so many shows. I feel like on the CW that were like, I don't know, vampy and campy.
Vampy.
You know what I mean? Like Supernatural.
I've never seen Supernatural.
Another good show.
Really?
Or like Charmed.
Never seen. So yeah. What were your jams? Since I'm going to leave the floor to you, since you just like named 3 things that I'm like, okay. I've never seen an episode.
My jams, like just in general.
Your CW jams.
My CW jams? Oh, Charmed. Supernatural. I was so into, I don't know. I think I was into anything supernatural. Like anything involving witches, vampires had a hold on me growing up. I don't know why. Buffy, I would watch the reruns a lot. And they had a hold on me. Something about, I don't know, hunting vampires or demons. Because in Supernatural, they're hunting demons. And it's like two brothers.
So what are the lines? Like, how would you define a vampire, like, piece of entertainment? What is a vampire? Is it just the, like, fangs, blood-sucking element? Or, like, would you consider Jennifer's Body a vampire film?
That's a good point. Like,
or would you consider Saltburn a vampire film? Because essentially Barry Keoghan's character is a vampire.
Yeah.
In, like, a way, because he's, like, sucking this family of all their like money and inheritance, you know?
Yeah. I think I would say Jennifer's Body for sure. Because she's literally killing people. Like, yeah, for sure.
She's not killing people.
Well,
she's killing boys.
That's, you're right. Yeah. It's funny because you are almost on her side sometimes. I flip flop.
Sometimes.
Well, you know, I'm just saying in general, like it's easy to kind of, I don't know, you know, like I feel like her morals are ambiguous, which I feel like is true for a lot of vampires. Mm-hmm. I don't know about Barry Keoghan. I feel like that movie, I wouldn't consider it as a vampire film because to me, it's not like traditional vampire lore, but I think in the way that like technically speaking, like he's sucking, like the life out of these people literally and figuratively. He's the vampire, like for sure. He just doesn't have fangs. But yeah, I would just say, I guess to be a vampire, I would think like, I just think of like powers or like those in the stereotypical sense. But I think in like an intellectual sense, yes.
So Jennifer Check is a vampire?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say. You have to be dead.
Or a demon.
Oh. You're right.
There's so many lines, but I mean, does it really matter? What's the difference between a demon and a vampire?
That's a good point. Yeah. Because I'm thinking now, like the vampires, like in Buffy, for example, are very like demon-esque. Mm-hmm. They're also not really, like when they're like in their true vampire form, I think it's interesting how they make them really ugly instead of super sexy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like they're very similar, but I don't know. I guess it's the blood-sucking element that would separate them. Vampires have to suck blood. Demons, I think, suck your souls.
So maybe I'm a fan of demons. I love sucking your soul.
So would you rather be a demon or a vampire?
A demon.
Like 100%.
100%.
666 with a Princess Street.
Yes. What's your favorite vampire film or TV show?
Well, TV show, it's a toss-up between Vampire Diaries and Buffy. I feel like Buffy for the nostalgic factor, but I feel like Vampire Diaries is well written. And movie, that's hard. Because like I feel like Bram Stoker's Dracula is so iconic as far as like the aesthetics, like the vampire aesthetics and the lore. So probably as far as vampire films, that one. I do like Twilight though, but Twilight I feel like is a mess at the same time. Like I feel like you really have to read the book because like when we watched it, I'm just like, it is fun though. It's just different. It's a different take, and they switch up a lot of the traditional things, like vampires being able to walk in sun, like that sort of thing.
They sparkle.
Yeah, which is kind of fun, I suppose.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on, the shift? Like the Twilight vampires are very much like the misunderstood good guys in a sense. Like Edward is always talking about like doesn't want to hurt Bella. Very like, I'm not gonna eat people. I gotta shy away. I'm not. He's a pick me vampire. But that was the thing. Like,
that's
during
a trend.
that era. Yeah, but do you respond well to like the good guy vampire? Are you into like...
No, I agree with you with what you said earlier about the bad boy vampires, because they're fully who they are. They're like, yeah, I'm a vampire, while the other good boy vampires always have a darker side that's sometimes even worse. Mm-hmm. If you ever continue with the series, like the Vampire Diaries or Buffy, even True Blood, I think I stopped watching True Blood at a certain season because I didn't like where the direction was going with the lead vampire. And because did you say you saw the first season?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know, like Suki and Bill,
yeah,
they're like an item pretty much, but things kind of, you know, spoilers. Are you cool with spoilers?
It's okay, that's fine.
So I don't know, he just starts acting like an asshole at a certain point, and then you're like, but in that show it kind of seemed like for no reason, it didn't quite make sense. But like in the Vampire Diaries, like Stefan, for example, we like something's revealed about his past and how he had like a really like he went through a spell of like basically went on a murdering spree as a vampire, just fully like I think that's before he decided to never do that again or something, like swear off.
Vampires are gonna vampire.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And then you have like Damon, like his brother, who like leans in fully to just being a vampire. It's like, I'm not ashamed. Yeah, I ate some people. I feel like you might have to do that. Like on one hand, like if you were a vampire yourself and you had a conscience, it might be difficult. Like I probably wouldn't want to kill people personally, but maybe there's workarounds. Maybe there's like bad people you could go after or something. Like, I don't know.
Just be chilling, just be killing.
Or like bloodbath, you know, like
in Blade.
In Blade?
Have you seen the opening scene of Blade where they go into the nightclub and like it's is
that a vampire movie?
Yeah, Blade's a vampire.
I thought that was like an outer space film.
No, he's a vampire.
Wow, I feel so dumb.
No,
I need to see Blade then.
You gotta see Blade.
Or maybe I'm thinking of Blade Runner.
Blade Runner is not in space, but you're on the right track. But since I've seen so, like, my mind is like Vampire Diaries intertwines with True Blood. What's the one where they're putting the straws into the rats and sucking like the blood, like having just like snacks? I think
probably True Blood.
True Blood.
That sounds right.
That's a very interesting concept, True Blood.
True Blood is very interesting in general, I feel, because like the way they handle vampires being in society, like it's so different. Like if you compare it to the other shows, it's, you know, like they don't have to hide so much. I mean, obviously there's problems, but they kind of have like spaces for vampires specifically. Like they have that vampire club and the vampires are fighting for their rights. Like there's like a whole political discourse around vampires, but they're like out. They're, you know what I mean?
Well, they finally got out. Like that's like the pilot episode is like they have their rights.
Yeah. I think that's fascinating.
It's so interesting in the context of it. Like while True Blood's premiering, like Proposition 8 is happening in the background. And it's like, it's such an interesting thing to be happening in society. Also, the Twilight's going on at the same time, and like it's just kind of, it's a phenomenon, and that's the thing that like, well, True Blood's a phenomenon as well, but you know, Twilight's for the teens, True Blood's for the adults.
The mature content.
Yes. But that is going on at a time when, you know, gay rights and, you know, gay marriage is at the forefront.
Yeah.
And like things are happening.
They tackle a lot of that stuff. Like, can vampires get married? Like, there's like so many things that you're so right. There's like parallels.
Mm-hmm. And it's just in real time because it's like that's going on. True Blood's having its first season, second season, you know?
I wonder if that was intentional. I never thought about that really because I didn't see True Blood at the time. Probably because I was a little young for it. I was like, oh no, that's like so mature. I shouldn't be watching that. I also didn't have HBO, but
yeah, no, I mean, I didn't think about it until now,
but that makes sense. And there's also a lot of LGBTQ characters specifically in True Blood.
Was it Lafayette?
Lafayette, yeah.
I love him.
I do too. He's one of my favorites.
Such good characters. I love the Vampire Diaries as well.
They don't really go into LGBTQ though much that I can think of.
Well, neither does Twilight. Those are very like hetero normative. Like I would say Twilight is to Jonas Brothers as True Blood is to Lady Gaga in the context of like 2008, 2009. If that makes any sense.
Just like what's more mainstream
or no, I think Jonas Brothers to Twilight Pipeline, it's like purity rings.
Oh, okay.
It's like saving yourself for marriage.
Yes, and then like Gaga, it's very like free, liberating.
Yeah, liberation.
Sexy.
Like let's see how far we can take it. Gay rights, sex.
Yeah. That's so funny. The Jonas Brothers are so funny with their purity ring. Didn't they like toss that out though at a certain point?
They did. They kind of gave up on it. But I mean, so did Bella and Edward. Well, they waited, but
yeah. Wild.
But yeah.
Well, speaking of like just on the LGBTQ tip, Buffy the Vampire Slayer in that show, Willow goes through her own journey.
Oh, really? Do you identify with Willow?
I do. Yeah. How did you know?
Because it's Allison Hannigan, which I've seen How I Met Your Mother. Like I'm familiar with her, and I just always see her and think of you.
Really?
I don't know. You have like very similar energies or something, but yeah, I did watch Buffy and I was like, oh, Brie fucks heavily with Willow, doesn't she?
Yes, I think that's something too, like that had a hold on me, like growing up watching Willow, like kind of like she goes through this whole journey where she gets more confident. Also, if you don't mind spoilers.
I don't mind.
Okay. She finds out she's a witch. She gets, she like leans into like her power, like quite literally. And then she also leans into her sexuality. And her style, too, also changes and becomes more fun and carefree. So, yeah. She's an inspiration.
Aw.
But, yeah. I do. I relate a lot to her character.
So, she's a witch.
She is, yes.
And in Vampire Diaries, her best friend, Nina Dobrev's best friend, is
also a witch.
Also a witch. Is that like a common thing in vampire lore?
I think so. Yeah, like having a witchy best friend. Yeah, it is. Even now that I think about it, even in True Blood, like, gosh, what is her friend's name? I'm trying to remember. Because yeah, we've watched so many vampire things.
I know
it all kind of meshes.
I mean, there are definite tropes. Like it's a vampire trope for a reason, and like,
yeah, it's Tara. So in True Blood, Anna Paquin's character Suki, her friend is Tara, and Tara has like visions and stuff. So she's got something, like she's in tune, I think, with that. I don't know if she's exactly a witch though, or just like a psychic.
But she's in tune with the other side. Is Suki also clairvoyant in some ways?
She is. Yeah, she's clairvoyant. I forgot about that. Yeah. She doesn't just date a vampire. That's right. She's also a fairy. I don't know if that is revealed till later as well. But that's interesting too, because I feel like True Blood, they really expand on like just like that kind of fairy tale lore of sorts, instead of just being like vampires and witches and sometimes werewolves. Because that's another thing. Werewolves is another like trope in a vampire like film or
so. Yeah, that was crazy doing research for this. Like I didn't realize, because my knowledge of vampires is just Twilight. So I didn't realize that the vampire, like in competition with the werewolf, was a real thing. Like, yeah. What's up? Why are werewolves involved?
To be honest, I'm not even sure. And it confuses me because like, I know in Bram Stoker's Dracula, he technically can also turn into a wolf, which is interesting.
But he's a vampire?
But he's a vampire. Because usually when you think vampires, you might also think, oh, they can turn into bats or something, which I don't know. I feel like most don't, like in any of these scenarios.
Why don't they? Oh my God. Have you seen this movie Vamps?
Just Vamps?
Yes. Oh my God. I wasted time the other night. It was a waste. I should have watched Bram Stoker's Dracula or some more True Blood or something. But it's on Amazon Prime.
Is it like a new show or movie?
No, it came out in 2012. Oh. It stars Alicia Silverstone and Kristen Ritter. And they are vampires. And I think that's where it's the rat.
Oh, really?
With the straw sucking blood, because that's when I was out. That's when I turned that off. And I said, no thanks. And I put on some Gilmore Girls. I'm not even going to lie.
To
cleanse the palate.
That does sound nasty.
Such a bad film. But my point is, Alicia Silverstone's character and Kristen Ritter.
Yeah,
they don't turn into bats, but to get away from situations, they like scale the buildings.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. I know it's supposed to be a comedy.
Okay.
But just like,
how are they scale? Is it like very cheesy? Is it on par with like, because we just watched Buffy, like the Vampire Slayer movie. Is it like that? You know how they're like floating? You can kind of see the wires?
No, it is like, you know how in Super Mario World, when you're in the castle, and you know how like little Mario, when he's like shimmying up the fence?
Yes.
That's how they scale.
They're just like
buildings. They're like, boop, boop, boop. It's wild. It's a wild time.
Gotcha.
What was I don't know my
disturbing?
point. No, not disturbing. It was just like,
you just couldn't get past the rats.
It was bad. It was like a bad film. But I guess my point. What was that? I don't even remember my point. Oh, turning into bats.
Turning into bats.
They don't turn into bats, but they scale buildings.
Yeah.
They fly.
They fly. Yeah, sometimes vampires can fly.
And
or run up trees.
That's what I was going to say.
They can run really fast.
Yeah, they're like, come on, spider monkey.
Yeah. This is the skin of a killer, Bella. Yes. I feel like all vampires like say really cheesy things too. You know? And they're so mysterious.
They are. The vampire aesthetic is hot and timeless. Like, I want to see some more modern day vampire films.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we haven't gotten a good one since like that Tilda Swinton, Tom Hiddleston, like 2013 film.
Oh, what is this?
Where they're like cool vampires. But I feel like there's so much you could do.
Tilda Swinton looks like a vampire too.
Truly.
Just saying, like that's perfect casting.
Truly. I want to see more. I want to see more Tilda Swinton as a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Or like whoever. I don't know. I just think vampires lead to sexy.
Yeah.
And we need more sexy.
We need more
I
sexy.
want like a vampire renaissance just for that fact. Also, leather jackets.
Leather jackets. Oh my God. Yes.
Like Ray-Ban sunglasses, a red lip, pale skin, dark hair. Ooh, throw in a Balenciaga city bag.
Ooh.
That's like just the epitome of style. So vampires kind of.
All the good vampires have leather jackets, I feel. Or, you know, the good bad ones. The baddies.
So many. I mean, yeah.
The vampire
aesthetic is like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
All the leather.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What would you wear if you were a vampire? Just like a full on leather fit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. Well, what was your favorite like vampire series or film? Like out of everything that you watched, like what was your favorite?
True Blood.
True Blood.
Yeah. Because I'm an intellectual.
Yeah. Just for intellectual reasons.
I mean, no.
Or the characters or
the premise is so good. Like, I understand, like, as much as I'm nostalgic for like the Twilight, Vampire Diaries, like love triangle, which I love, but I don't know if like right now that's what my heart is yearning for.
Yeah.
But I'm like, ooh, sex. Ooh, like an allegory for human rights.
You might enjoy, like, honestly, you should go down that rabbit hole, I think. Because it's really, like, the first couple seasons are really good.
And then I know it gets bad because I've, like, done enough research.
And then you might be like, oh, I want to watch it fully. Like, I want to go back and see if it gets better. Because, yeah.
Yeah. I will still be watching True Blood. Also, I like the Vampire Diaries a lot.
Yeah.
You were right. I want to see more of Ian Somerhalder, though.
He's just so something about him. And it's fun to see, like, you, as the series goes on, you learn a lot more about him and you see more of his like human side or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think that's something fascinating about a lot of these vampires is that there always is like, well, there's always a lot of moral ambiguity, you know, but there's also a flip usually of whoever you think is like the good guy turns into the bad guy, or whoever's the bad guy ends up being kind of the good guy, which I think is fascinating. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of sometimes as the viewer, you'll like switch sides and be like, oh yeah, actually, you know, now I'm rooting for this villain. Like, cause I don't know, they're on the same playing field at a certain point.
I think that's a really fun element to vampire media.
Yeah.
It makes you question your morals a little bit as well, because it's like we're about to have Joker 2, Folie à Deux, come out. And
speaking of Gaga,
yeah, but there's like in the 2010s and 2020s now, we're really doing this thing where it's like, oh, we're gonna have the superhero villain or like the Maleficent or the Joker, and we're gonna sympathize with them,
right,
or empathize with them in a certain way. Vampires, you'd have to do that as well, but I think it's a different. It's like a different lens, but I forgot what I was going to say.
Is it because they're close to human, like more close to human, or they used to be human and lose their humanity? Like, what do you think it is that makes, you know what I mean? Like compared to these other like villains.
Well, I think because a vampire isn't inherently bad. Like what, it really just makes you question your morals off the bat.
Yeah.
Where with a villain, you're just like, oh, they're the bad guy, and now we're going to have to root for them because they're the protagonists. And we're going to have to see their side because Todd Phillips said so.
You're forced to.
But with the vampire and vampire films, it is like the Vampire Diaries thing where there's the good guy and the bad brother, and you flip, like you said. And we're seeing it through, Catherine or Bella. We're not seeing it through the eyes of like Damon, like Ian Somerhalder's character, or, we're getting to have to we're as the viewer, like we have to decide. Yeah. And we have to fall down these like morally ambiguous rabbit holes and like love triangles.
And look within ourselves too. Yeah. Cause it's like, oh yeah, what would you do? Who would you choose? And why would you do? Also, like, and
it's following like the head versus the heart, because with all these, characters, it's like, oh, there's a sexual attraction or like a deep attraction to a vampire.
Yeah.
Even though it's not good for you. So it's also like dealing with like shadow work.
Dude, also, not to cut you off,
no, cut me off.
Angel in Buffy, like he is so like, I forgot how like mysterious and just like how he just kind of creepily shows up and disappears.
Is that Bones?
Yes, that is
Mr. Bones.
David Boreanaz, I think. Is that how you say his name? Yeah. He got really popular because of that series.
Yeah, well, I was getting so confused as well because I was getting confused with Buffy and Angel.
Yes, Angel is a spinoff. He gets his own show.
Does he come back to Buffy?
In Angel?
Yeah. Or is there any overlap of like when Buffy's running and Angel's running?
To be honest, I only saw a little bit of Angel. I never fully went down that rabbit hole because as much as I liked Angel, I was more into Spike.
I understand that.
Yeah. So I was like, kind of like, oh, that's cool. I did like Bones, I liked David Boreanaz. I just was like, and I think Supernatural was on at that point, and I was more into that and like hunting the demons, I guess. And I felt like I didn't really maybe need to hear Angel's story all that much.
So what is Angel about? How did that spin off?
I think it's like, I feel like I should look this up to verify, but I thought it was like before he went to Sunnydale, like his previous life, because he's like a vampire who's cursed with a soul. So like in Buffy, the lore is like when you're a vampire, you no longer have a soul, and that's why you can kind of do what you can. Like you can just murder, like bite people, suck their blood. Who cares? Like you could just, that's how you survive. It's almost like you're a different person at that point. Like it's basically if you shut all your emotions off. But then somehow he's like, someone cursed him with, his soul. So it's basically like if you are just, I don't know, a sensitive person.
The only one with a soul?
In this series, I'm pretty sure he is. I don't know if Spike ever gets his soul. I can't remember, but he becomes more like human somehow. Like he has humanity to him. It's just, I think he had to dig a lot deeper. But I don't know if they ever like restore his soul. But I don't know. I really like, so Spike's a really complex character. You just gotta, I have to rewatch that because it doesn't, that's not addressed till like later in the seasons. And there's so many seasons of Buffy.
And that was like, it was crazy to just like be in the first season and be like, well, okay. And just like see the Take Me to Church compilation videos and be like, Spike seems nice.
I forgot how long it takes to get to Spike. I think it's like season 3 or something.
I mean, I think he's in the first season. Like, I think I saw him, but
they don't really get into him. Yeah, they take their time introducing the characters and stuff. But I think that, I don't know.
It's really cool. I really like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the film.
Yeah, I did too.
So fun and campy.
Yes. I know we watched it for the first time yesterday. Night. Yeah. I loved it. And I can see the influence. Like I can see now, because like it took me so long to watch that movie. I don't know why. I think I was afraid I wasn't going to like it. But I really did.
No, it's so like, it's just high camp.
Yeah.
And that's, I think it's interesting because I know Joss Whedon wasn't happy with it, and that leads to the TV series. But I really like the humor in it. I'm like, oh, I like that they decided to keep it light.
Yes.
But
Buffy, the show is it's definitely like darker and more serious. I mean, it's funny in some ways. Like the characters some of them are light and funny, but it's not as much as the movie, of course.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's all camp.
Yeah. Like they really just leaned into it. And also like a little performance by Hilary Swank.
Yes.
It's my favorite character in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I loved her. I was like, oh, that's cute. I never knew this about her. I didn't know this was part of her filmography.
It was her film debut.
That's so cool.
Very excited.
Also, who was it? Ben Affleck that made an appearance?
Ben Affleck, like Seth Green made an appearance, but he was cut out of the film, and then he's later in Buffy.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was like, wait, I didn't see him in this film because he was on there, and I was like, wait, what? Where was he?
Yeah, I think you can see like the top of his head or like a little bit of him, according to the IMDb. But
what did you think of the vampires in the movie in Buffy?
They're fun,
right?
They're fun. I mean, they're very unserious.
Yeah. I loved how they just floated around.
Yeah. They're like hooligans.
Yeah. They're like just chaotic.
Yeah. No, I love that like era of like supernatural like vampire films. Like, have you seen The Lost Boys?
Mm-mm.
So good. It's Joel Schumacher.
Ooh.
Who did Batman and Robin. I know a lot of other films, but Batman and Robin.
That sounds like fun to me.
Yeah, no, it's really great. It's vampires and, Kiefer Sutherland. Which, Kiefer Sutherland's in Lost Boys. Donald Sutherland is in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Huh.
Vampires. Am I right?
I love it.
Do you think vampires are sexy, or do they give you the ick? Like, what's your whole take on that?
I think they're sexy. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's their pale, icy skin or their pointy teeth, or their hair. I feel like vampires just are aesthetic. They know what to wear. Like most times I feel like vampires are stylish.
Vampires are very confident in themselves.
That's what it is too. They have this confidence. They walk around like they own the place.
They probably do, because most of them they've been around the block.
They've been around, for like hundreds or thousands of years. That's a good point. I guess at that point you would be pretty confident. I would hope.
Yeah.
I would hope if I was a vampire, I would be confident by the time I'm like 300 or something,
Yeah. You've been roaming the streets around so long, you probably are like, nothing can phase you.
They've got Riz.
Oh, yeah.
Vampires have Riz.
They do.
Yeah.
Out of all of the vampire films and TV shows, like, what's your favorite love triangle storyline?
I feel like the Damon and Stefan one, because it's so messy.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, they are brothers. I mean, I
got that far.
They're brothers. But okay, so you know how Elena resembles Catherine, which is Stefan's lover or whatever. It's later revealed that Catherine also had an affair with Damon back in the day. So there was a love triangle all the way, like hundreds of years ago as well. So that love triangle just goes so deep. And I think that's why there's also a love triangle with Elena. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of built in. But it's just fascinating because there's the element of them being brothers and, you know, you kind of want them to get along, but then you're like, oh, I kind of want to see like Damon, and I do personally want to see Damon and Elena, or Catherine. But I don't know. I think that's fascinating. It's because it's like history repeats itself, you know?
I guess they have a
little
type.
challengers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That like Catherine is the homewrecker or whatever. I guess you could say Elena is. Because there's a certain point in the show where you're like kind of like she's just kind of playing with both of them or something. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you need to make a choice. Like, you know, can't just be going back and forth.
But that's so much fun.
Right? Yeah. And I feel like, you know, I do like the love triangle in Buffy, but I feel like there's a clear choice, or it just, there's not as high stakes, you know, because they're not brothers. They hate each other or whatever. So,
yeah. What about Buffy do you love so much? Like, what really resonates with you about Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I think Buffy herself is really cool. Like, I always loved like her style for one, but also just her kickassery. Like, I love the choreo in that show. Anytime she's fighting a vampire and then like stakes them and then poof, like they just disappear into dust. Like, that's just so satisfying.
That is kind of the best part, is when Buffy just impales a vampire.
Yeah. There's like poof.
It's always like a roundhouse kick and like a stab to the heart.
Yes. She's essentially like Chuck Norris. So yeah, I don't know. That's one of the big things. I think also like the characters I feel like are well written and developed. I fell in love with pretty much all the characters. Like, I was at a certain point back in the day, I was like shipping like Giles and like this other lady, that his love interest. So it was like, so I was just so into it, you know?
So be honest, was this around your eras of, was this like circling the One Direction fanfic, circling the nanny fanfic?
Oh my God. Oh, okay. This is embarrassing. I gotta tell you. Oh, okay. So around this time, my background for my computer, it was literally Giles and the like librarian lady or whoever, his love interest. Like, it was like a compilation of that. Like, I had put it together myself, a collage of them. Because I shipped them so hard.
Love it.
It's so cheesy. But I was like, wow, that's love.
What about them did you ship so much?
I don't even know anymore. Like, I don't know right now. I couldn't tell you. But at the time, I was so like, it was to me almost on the same level as like how I would ship Elliot and Olivia in Law and Order. Or EO, as you know, if you know, that's...
If you know, you know.
Yeah. Just EO.
That is an episode waiting to happen.
Law and Order.
I don't know if it's 2025, but I want you to show me the way.
Law and Order is so good. The first season's amazing. That's another show though that like takes so much time to get into and really see like the character dynamics with each other.
I think I could do that one though, because I've already listened to like the 6-hour theme song like on loop.
You have?
Yeah.
The theme song. Oh,
yeah. I'm already a Law and Order theme song stan. So I feel like, I love a good crime too.
Yes. And solving them.
Yeah. And if we get jury duty again, we're going to be watching so much Law and Order.
That's so true. Is it bad I low-key want to get jury duty just so I can have some time to watch Law and Order?
Same. Nothing is better than going to jury duty, punching in, watching Law and Order, getting told you're not right for the case because you seem like you have a bias, and heading home.
It's so true.
That's the American judicial system.
I love it. It's so on the nose too that Law and Order would be playing, and like, what are the odds? I'm like, they did that on purpose. It's cute.
It is very cute.
But also, as far as like theme songs, I feel like, or like just theme openings, like Buffy, the theme lives rent free in my mind. Like, that also had a hold on me. Like,
Was it the hieroglyphic font?
Oh my God, the font. I love the font. Yes. But just like that whole opening sequence in general, how it's like a montage. It's like they're fighting, they're laughing, like how, you know, and the music, and there's like a wolf howling, like the way the sounds are layered. Like it has me. It's so cheesy now watching it, but I remember at the time being like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever.
I know it's wild watching this now. It does really remind me of like a couple years ago, I finally caved and watched the X-Files.
Oh, yeah.
Not all the way through, but I'd just never seen even an episode of the X-Files before. And they were like, you got to watch it. I want to believe.
Right.
But their, the X-Files theme song and like opening sequence reminds me of Buffy.
It's similar. I see what you mean.
Yeah. No, my favorite theme song, especially from that era, Twin Peaks.
Ah,
The Twin Peaks.
that one's classy. It's good. Yeah.
But you just need like a good soundtrack to it. And I think Buffy has that. And hieroglyphic font.
Yeah. That's how you get me for sure.
Like, I'm trying to think about True Blood or Vampire Diaries.
I don't remember the intro. I think True Blood does have an intro, but it's a little more like honky tonk or something. It's like, oh, well, I'm down in the swamps and a vampire's gonna get you.
Louisiana.
Yeah. it's pretty cool though. It's just, it doesn't hit me the same, but I think it fits well with the show.
If you told me that, what's that song that's like, there's a fire. Oh, Rolling in the Deep.
Oh my God, Rolling in the Deep should be the intro. That would be perfect.
If you told me Rolling in the Deep was the True Blood theme song, I would believe you. I don't know why.
I think that would be perfect. That's what it should be. Adele kind of gives me vampire vibes. Just saying. Sometimes when she wears the red lip and the black dress, you know, and the winged eyeliner.
Yeah, I can see it. It's, especially Adele now.
Adele now, is giving vamp.
Maybe that's why she's, going to take 15 years off. She's like secretly a vampire.
That's what they say. Oh my gosh, what was it where maybe it's not being a vampire. This isn't. It's like adjacent, I guess, but like death becomes her. Mm-hmm. You know how they're like in this little cult? Like if you decide to take the potion or whatever, you have to disappear. Like if you want to live forever, you have to disappear, assume a different identity, whatever. You just can't be like known. Like, I don't know. Maybe she has.
Maybe. You think
I don't know. Do you think she took the potion or?
Adele like fully death becomes her style?
Maybe.
You know, I haven't seen it yet, but have you heard of The Substance? With Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley?
I have not.
I am dying to see The Substance. It's a body horror film starring Demi Moore, who, have you seen her lately? Mm-mm. She got a new plastic surgeon in the best way. Like, she looks gorgeous. Like, remember Charlie's Angels Full Throttle? Mm-hmm. You remember how hot Demi Moore was?
Yeah.
Just like that.
Ooh, okay.
Like, no time has passed. Just looking impeccable.
She took the potion.
Well, the substance is she's like an actress and she takes a substance to, make you younger, hotter, like looks maxing, and you get like I'm butchering I'm gonna look it up. Okay. It's Elizabeth Sparkle, renowned for an aerobics show. Acrobatics. I've just changed her whole.
I know. I guess that's a little.
She's
in the
like
sky. Or
she's just doing flips in the air. Just so what? Elizabeth Sparkle is renowned for an aerobics show. Faces a devastating blow on her 50th birthday as her boss fires her. Amid her distress, a laboratory offers her a substance which promises to transform her into an enhanced version of herself. But there's something to do with like. It's like the Demi Moore self and then a younger version of herself. Ooh. Or a younger version of someone played by Margaret Qualley. Mm-hmm. And it's like only certain, like either Demi Moore or Margaret Qualley comes out. Like they can't be out together. Okay, yeah. So after some deliberation, Elizabeth orders and injects the product a single-use activator, causing a younger version of herself to emerge from a slit in her back.
Ah, Creepy.
The younger form adopting the name Sue must inject herself with a stabilizer serum extracted from the spine of an unconscious Elizabeth each day.
What?
The two are required to switch activation every 7 days without exception, with one resting unconsciously while the other lives out in the world. Sue is hired back onto Elizabeth's old show and very quickly ascends to fame and admiration Elizabeth used to enjoy. When Elizabeth has to switch, however, she struggles with a deepening sense of inadequacy, loneliness, and low self-esteem.
Wait a minute. Okay, I have a question. Not that like you are an expert.
I want to see the substance, so I'm not like a substance expert.
But okay, so wait. So there's two of you. Basically, a younger version of yourself pops out of your back.
Yeah.
And lives as you? But are they their own sentient being, or is it you controlling that body and you just use your vessel of like your body now sleeps while that person, like, I'm like, is it two people or one person? Is it like Voldemort? Are you splitting your soul? You know what I'm saying? Or are you like, do you control both? Is like an Avatar situation? Like, I have so many questions, but I guess I'll have to see this.
Yeah, you're gonna have to see the substance, or we're gonna have to.
We're gonna have
substance.
to. Yeah, that's so fascinating. Huh.
But
sounds kind of creepy.
It does.
Yeah.
It's a little vampire adjacent, and in the way that Saltburn is, where it's not vampire, but you know,
it's adjacent. Yeah.
There is something about giving up your soul to have a younger version of yourself.
Definitely.
Oh, my point was maybe Adele's taking the substance.
Adele's like popping out of her own back. She's like, ooh.
There is like a pipeline.
She's been replaced.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
A death becomes her, the substance, you know?
Wow. Conspiracy theories. I feel like that could fully be one for real. Oh, Adele looks great though.
She does.
Suspiciously great.
Anything else?
Trying to think. I feel like we've covered so much.
Anything like any like Brie takes.
Oh,
do you want to go off on?
True.
Go off, sis.
Yeah. I feel like. Well, there's something I noticed that I think is kind of funny. That this relates to Law and Order, just since we mentioned it.
Dun, dun.
The Vampire Diaries, like the series itself, the first episode starts out very Law and Order because Stefan is like, "Here is my story." It's very, you know what I mean? And I can almost hear the dun dun. So I thought that was kind of fun. I'm like, is this why it had a hold on me? Also, it takes place in Virginia, you know, somewhere where we grew up. Yeah, I'm like, oh, maybe that's why it also had a hold on me. You know, there's a lot of history in Virginia. I guess I'm like, there could be vampires around here. It feeds into that fantasy, you know. Like, what if I stumble into like a hottie out there in a leather jacket?
Remember bath salts? Like, this was also the time of like swine flu and bath salts. I wonder, something was going on in the water in like 2009. I swear.
The vampires were real. Is that what you're trying to say?
Pretty much. Or zombies. You know, we were talking about before. I know a lot about witches. Like, I've seen Practical Magic. I love the Love Witch.
Yes.
Witches are cool. I'm chill with witches.
Sure.
Semi-familiar with vampires. Less so with werewolves. I love zombies. I love zombie films. That's the rabbit hole.
Undead.
As a kid, that was my thing. I love Zombieland. I even love Zombieland Double Tap. I think that's an underrated film. Iconic Zoe Deutsch performance. But World War Z.
Yeah.
I'll like just think about it 28 days later, 28 weeks later. You know, I've always been very into the zombie lore.
That's so interesting. Yeah. What is it about the zombies? Is it just like, you know, like the post-apocalyptic aspect of it? Or
there's like, you know how you were talking about your vampire fantasies?
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, maybe they're like upon us.
Yes.
I think zombies, to me, I'm like, you know, even now I'll look around sometimes when everything's like quiet, like too quiet. And I'll be like, oh, if we had the zombie apocalypse right now, what would I do? Where would I go?
You're strategizing.
Totally strategizing. I'm like, would the zombies be fast or would they be slow? Would it be like World War Z or would it be like,
yeah,
you know, what kind of vampire, like a Dawn of the Dead or, you know, like Shaun of the Dead, which is great. You know, what type of vampires are we going to get?
Or zombies, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And
but also kind of vampires. Yeah.
Are they?
No, but I hear what you're saying. Cause like with both vampires and zombies, like there's so many different like there's not just like, oh, it's hard to define in a way. Like, yeah, like what's a zombie, you know?
Yeah, I did mean zombies, but
yeah,
that actually brings up a good point.
Yeah, but they have like different, it's interesting. Like I like how like in like zombie lore, there's, you know, you could have these zombies are either like they can barely move basically, which is kind of creepy, but also they can run. Like what scares me is the fast zombies. Yeah. That's terrifying. That makes my heart drop. I hope if we ever have a zombie apocalypse, they're the slow ones, you know?
Yeah.
Like it'd be I feel like the slow ones are really unsettling, but the fast ones, I'm like, I don't think I'd stand a chance.
Well, I totally subscribe to the World War Z zombie.
Those are the fast ones, right?
Well, I think that if we actually had zombies, my guess is that they would have short spurts.
Okay. And then they get tired.
Yeah. Like
just like us.
So if they get like a sense,
or if they can hear you or smell you or something,
then they're going to be zippy. But I don't think that they could like sustain that. I just, you know, like they would get a spurt.
Zombies,
like when you put flies in salt, like dead flies in salt to
and
revive them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what were you going to say?
I was going to say zombies fascinate me because they're like, I don't know. I mean, I guess they're dead or whatever, but it's like, what do they, like, obviously they, I guess, feed on people, but do they eat people? Are they cannibals or are they like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah,
zombies just create more zombies. I mean, so do vampires, but you know, what is the zombie's purpose? Like, you know,
that's true. Like zombies. Well, I know there's like warm bodies, but typically zombies don't fall in love.
That's an interesting take though. Like the warm bodies, like take on zombies is really interesting to me. Like a conscious zombie fascinates me.
Yeah, it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But anything can happen. I'm sure that, you know, people back in the day pre-Twilight would be shocked. They'd be like, wait, you mean Count Chocula? Like, you mean like old school, you know, vampires or now Robert Pattinson and hot, you know?
Right.
Sparkling.
Yeah. Twilight really made them hot. Although in Queen of the Damned, the vampires are pretty hot.
So hot. Oh my God. I watched Queen of the Damned for the first time the other week in preparation for this.
Yeah. What were your thoughts?
You know? It was boring.
It was
really boring. But Stuart Townsend, I really like his vampire. I like his new metal band.
Yes.
They're cool. They're real cool. They're real sexy. They're real hot.
But what about Aaliyah? Also
real cool, real sexy, real hot. And every time they'd like do the lore, I'd fall asleep. I think that's it. Lore. I can't. If you take us back to the 1800s, I check out.
Really? Oh, and see, I check in. I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Something about, I don't know if the times were really simpler. Probably not, honestly. There's like plague and everything. It's maybe more complicated, actually, if you think about it. You have to dress more complicated, too.
That's so true. Like petticoats, corsets. I don't even like to wear a bra. How could I wear a corset?
But they look good.
They do. But what's your fascination with like the old timey?
Personally, I think the outfits, like the costumes, fascinate me.
How so?
Like in Bram Stoker's Dracula, like mostly, like, like the petticoats, the ruffles, like something about it. I don't know why. I think the silhouettes are just so interesting. And then I've watched a lot of those YouTube videos that are like, oh, Victorian era fashion, like recreating the dresses and things like that. Like I just find it interesting that I think too, like what people did and what they wore, like how it's so different than now. Like now we have so many choices. We can just throw on like t-shirts and jeans. Like that's kind of the norm. That's comfort. But like trying to imagine what life would have been like and like the whole structure. Like we have so much technology now as well. And like not having that, I guess I'm like, oh, how did they pass the time? I guess putting on these outfits, like how long would it take to put on this like 5-layered dress?
Getting lead poisoning via your
makeup. Yeah. And why did they do, like, it's just like almost like just like a what is it when you're like, is it not anthropology? Is it? Wait, what is that study of people? Is that anthropology? I know that's My mind goes to the clothing and yeah,
I believe so.
I think so. I think just that fascinates me. You know,
it's funny you mentioned the technology because we experienced internet outage for a whole 24 hours.
That was so hard. Hardest time of my life.
No, like truly, the Discord was blowing up. Like everyone I spoke to was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, man. We don't have.
We thought it was gonna
internet.
be days. It was like not even fully 24 hours. It was almost, but
sheer panic amongst our friends and ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it got back on, everyone rejoiced. Like we still had full power, but the idea that I don't know, the people in like Victorian times, like back in the day, you're like, they're spending all their time getting ready with these corsets. And we're like doing the opposite. We're like draining we're like zombies.
We are.
For our technology or like vampire. They need to bring it back. We need to have another vampire renaissance.
Yeah, maybe there'd be a different take on what it means to be a vampire.
And now our politics is so different. And capitalism and like corporate greed and like,
do you think that would be addressed?
Human rights. I mean, yeah, trans rights. Like there's so many things that are happening right now.
So we need like a True Blood-esque kind of show or something.
Yeah. Or like movie. A light allegory. Maybe we need a Vampire Diaries Twilight type of escape.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But like hotter. Like I could see like a Queen of the Damned-esque.
I do like the aesthetics in that. Like I feel like Aaliyah is very hot.
Yeah.
What is it? Lestat, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's also hot.
Also very hot.
Yeah.
Some new metal, but maybe
some dancing.
Yeah.
Some ripping out some hearts.
Yeah. Like I don't know. We need something.
Yeah.
Something to live for again.
We have nothing to live for. Especially when the internet goes out.
I know.
Oh, I have a hot take because you were asking me if I had any other takes. In Vampire Diaries, I thought Stefan looks 30. Man looks 30 in the high school.
Well, they all do, but
yeah, but him more so. You know what I mean? Like he just looks so grown. Like I feel like really Elena funny. Looks like a high schooler to me, and he's just like, I'm like he's starting the school. Like it's just so suspicious.
A little bit, but isn't that funny that in real life isn't Ian Somerhalder like properly older than him?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just some people are blessed.
Yeah. I guess some
people are not. Maybe to be a vampire you have to be like a Luke Perry 30. Where you're like, oh, you look at least 26, but we'll let it slide.
We'll let it slide.
For you, but for him, maybe because he journals.
It's because he journals. That took me out too, the journaling. Like when they journal, him and Elena journaling the same thing at the same time was so funny.
It is really funny. I'd love to see a parody video of that. You know how SNL back in the day, Bill Hader did the Edward Cullen.
Yes.
I would have loved him to do a Stefan.
He would have killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in his journal. And Cecily Strong as Elena or whatever.
Oh, that would have been perfect. Yeah. I could see it. I remember just at the time though, when I first watched that show being oh wow, this is so emotionally raw. Now I'm oh my god, this is so cheesy. It's hilarious. I love it.
Journaling's really gone away. We need to bring back journaling, I think.
Yeah. I've been trying to journal more personally, but I don't know if it's ever that.
Morning pages will change your life. Maybe Stefan just read The Artist Way and was I gotta get this out. I gotta do my morning pages.
He does. He wakes up, he journals. He goes to bed and he journals. Yeah, maybe he is onto something.
Yeah.
Bonnie, Elena's friend, her having these premonitions and seeing this the crow was very premonition coded. It made me think of, that movie.
Yes.
Oh, crows. That's what that means.
Death.
Yeah.
Even in real life, I'm premonition. That's a film that had a chokehold on me as a kid. Sandra Bullock in Premonition.
Same. I thought that movie was actually emotional, a drama too.
Mm-hmm. Or her husband dies. Isn't that the catalyst?
Yeah.
Yeah. Spoilers for Premonition book.
I really want to watch that movie again.
I wonder if it holds up, but
I know I'm afraid it's gonna ruin it because I loved it so much. I was obsessed. I had to buy it. Like I was like, I need to own this film. I watched it at least a couple times, but I watched it like back to back almost, like within like a couple years. So now there's been so much time that I'm like, what if it doesn't hold up? And it's really bad and cringy.
But we watched that. I mean, I remember you being really into it, and I was really into Premonition.
I'm like,
this
is Sandy B's best performance.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. It might be fun to revisit, though.
We should
get the bravery to just...
Yeah. Get into Sandra Bullock, like, films.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I wonder. Sandra Bullock as a dramatic actress always really intrigues me.
Yeah. She's kind of witchy. She's got the vampire sort of.
She does. I think she could, especially now.
Magic. Yeah.
Yeah.
You think now, too?
Yeah. I think Sandra Bullock now could be in a vampire film.
Her and Tilda Swinton.
Yeah. And Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves does read vampire. Like, in real life, too. He has that hair, and he's got the little goatee. Doesn't he?
No. What? Keanu Reeves has a goatee?
I thought
he could. I mean, that's your costume design for him. What?
Wait, does he not have a goatee? Oh, well, maybe it's a beard. But in my mind, he has a goatee. I mean, a goatee beard. Kind of. Like, John Wick has... No?
A full-ass beard? That's a whole beard, Brie.
But there's like a soul patch thing happening under the... You know what I mean? Like,
but Brie, that's how beards work.
Yeah, but... What if you shaved the rest of it off?
I want to guess Andrew, so then that would be a goatee, but he didn't do that. That's a potential. A beard is a potential for a goatee. I understand what you're saying, but that's not a goatee make.
Yeah, you're right. A goatee is a built-in. It's like part of the beard.
I think you have to inherently have a goatee to have a beard. So I guess on a technicality, guess Keanu Reeves has a goatee.
Underneath that beard's a goatee.
And if you shaved off the sides, that would be a goatee.
That's what I'm saying. You should shave off the sides. It might make him more... Maybe it's... You know what it is? It's because his beard is so... Like, part of his cheekbones... It like, you know what I'm saying? It like chisels his face.
It's like a contour.
It's almost a contour, and I think I forget that it's there.
And then I just contour.
Yeah, but you're totally right. He has more than a goatee going on, but you can picture it. It would still look hot.
I mean, I think the takeaway from this episode is that a beard is just a goatee with extra bits.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wait a minute. Did he cut his hair? Is this how he looks now? Like short hair? Because that is not a vampire. He cannot be a vampire until he grows long hair.
He'll grow it out, John Wick style.
He has to right?
Yeah.
Because that does not work. I'm sorry.
Short haired vampire. Yeah. Vampires typically have long hair, except Edward Cullen.
Yeah. Or if he has the short hair, the beard has to go. You can't have you know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. It has to be like Matrix.
Yeah. You have to take what's on the bottom, put it on the top. Just... I do have some questions for you.
For me?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Do you think humans does it work? Like, can a human date a vampire? Like, do you think that works out? Or does the human have to turn into a vampire? Like, what do you think of human vampire relationships?
Well, this seems like we're in a vampire movie. Like, we're in True Blood right now. And I'm like, well, there's a lot of political discourse on it. But, I think the vampires have a right to live and breathe in society and love whoever they want.
They do. I agree.
Yeah. But as far as, lore, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to be a vampire eventually, right? You can't just be in a relationship.
It usually goes that route, I think, for the most part. I guess it doesn't have to, but I think typically, the human maybe decides, oh, this is the love of my life. I don't want to live without this person. No. And also I don't want to get old and wrinkly.
I think
that's the main thing.
Is it like, Charlotte York when she marries Harry?
Oh.
And she has to be a Jew first because he won't marry someone who's not Jewish.
Yeah.
It's
kind of, because then the vampire's also like, I don't know if I can love you when you're old and wrinkly. Actually, I don't know if that's always it, but there's that awkwardness of that. And then also the I'm going to just look the same. I'm going to grow old. Technically, I'm going to be like 1,000, by the time you're like 50 or whatever. But, you know, you're going to just die and I'm going to live the rest of my life without you. So then there's that, you know?
Nothing would infuriate me more than being like with a vampire and then seeing them stay young forever and me
Without
age.
Me? Yeah, that's horrible, right?
The disrespect. Like, I couldn't do it for my own sanity.
Same. I would be like, turn me. I'm ready.
I not to be a whole like Kim Kardashian where it's like I would do whatever it takes to be young forever. But I take the substance.
Yeah.
I'd be the vampire. Like, I'll be damned if my vampire partner gets to not age and look better than me and get more attention than me.
No.
Get
out of here.
Get out of here. But also, I think, I don't know, how you'd always be second fiddle to your vampire boyfriend.
How would you be second fiddle?
I don't know.
In what way?
He's like the vampire. He's going to have to teach you all the vampire things. And what if you're not as good? What if you turn for him and you're not like good at it?
You're not
like,
good at killing people.
What if you don't like it and you can't go back?
That is one thing to think about. Like,
and then you have to live forever. Do vampires get divorced? To go through a vampire divorce?
True. Okay, but think about it. Even if you did like, okay, say you married a vampire, turned, didn't work out, get a vampire divorce. There's still probably going to be other vampires out there. And if not, you could turn someone. If you fall in love, you can turn someone. They could be a vampire too. Bam. Problem solved. I'm like, I thought about this. I've got it all.
Thank you. No,
planned out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess in that case, yes, it could work then.
It could work. But you have to be, probably end up turning into a vampire.
You have to turn and make sure you look hotter.
Make sure. Stay hot.
Stay hot. Stay sexy.
Also, were there any characters that you identified with most in like all these like movies or series? Like, was there anyone you're like, oh yeah, I can see myself?
Are we counting Jennifer's body in this?
We can, yeah.
I relate a lot to Jennifer and to Needy.
Okay,
like at the same time. Like, I feel like there's a part of me that is Jennifer Trek, and then there's a part of me that's Needy.
Yeah.
So I can relate to those two characters a lot. But as far as like, and I love these actresses, especially Kristen Stewart. So no shade. But Bella and Elena are some of like, they're very bland characters. And I understand that the purpose is to be like, so any person can step in their shoes. And it's, you know, they're not strong personalities to highlight, you know, the vampires, the side characters. And so anyone and everyone can step into those characters' shoes.
True.
But so much so that I'm like, well, thank God that I can't relate to Bella or Elena in some aspects because,
yeah,
you know, they're just
a little
like,
tortured too.
Yeah. But like tortured.
Light.
Yeah.
Yeah. They kind of torture themselves.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I can't really relate to them at all.
That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, of course, Buffy. Like, I think that's who you want to be, too.
And you can kick people's butts. I've seen you do like roundhouse kicks. So,
no, I do relate to Buffy a little bit. I mean,
yeah,
she's another, but I think she's a great female protagonist.
She's a better one than I think like Elena. You know, I don't know. I love Buffy.
Oh yeah, be a Buffy.
Yeah.
Besides Willow, do you identify with any characters?
I would say like mostly Willow, but I think a little bit Buffy as well, and Needy, of course. I feel like that's a given. We also talked about this when we talked about Jennifer's body. So
Needy was based on you.
It was based on me.
Diablo Cody visited you
as an inspiration. I'm a little crazy, but in a good way.
Yeah. And you got to be played by Amanda Seyfried.
I love it. Yeah. So. I like to wear striped sweaters. Yeah. So does Willow. Those two characters. But it's like I strive to be like Buffy. I feel like she is relatable though in a lot of ways because she doesn't always like fit it, or like she finds her own like, I don't know. You know how she tries to fit in with people and like there's like, you know, Cordelia's like the mean girl.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't quite fit in there, but she has like the looks, but she's like, I don't know, really badass. Also Cordelia, I like kind of like Cordelia, and she actually turns really cool towards the end.
Ooh.
So
It's so interesting just watching the first season of Buffy with nothing. Like I know, you know, all of these. Like Sarah Michelle Gellar to me is Daphne. Yeah, like I grew up watching the live action Scooby-Doos, and Daphne is very similar to Buffy.
they do a lot of the same like acrobatics, like they're fighting, like they have similar moves, I guess. Like Daphne looks like she could stake someone, which I love because that's so different than like the cartoon version of Daphne where she's just like, oh, I'm a damsel in distress. Help me, Fred. I've fallen down a hole in the floor.
Not like that in the movies.
Not at all.
Also, like it is like Sarah Michelle Gellar walked off the set of Buffy and just like went into Daphne, but in the best way.
She went like with those flips
and put in her go-go boots, like mid-flip.
But
I got confused. What is her name? Charisma Carpenter.
Yes, great name by the way. Charisma.
Oh yeah, I know. I wonder if that's her real name.
I know.
But what's her character?
Cordelia. A lot of alliteration there for her.
So many C's.
Yeah.
I know it is not Shannon Elizabeth, but it's like another thing from that time period where I'm like, oh, Buffy Gilmore from Scary Movie. I was like getting my wires crossed. My early 2000s wires were crossed.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's easy. I feel like that makes total sense. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, I love Shannon Elizabeth and Buffy. Yeah. Like to me, like I know it's Allison Hannigan, but my wires get crossed sometimes, and I'll be like, Linda Cardellini was great in Buffy.
Linda Cardellini,
and she's Velma. So
yeah, no, she does have Velma vibes. I feel like yeah. Willow is essentially Velma. Just
everything
glasses.
Scooby-Doo.
Yes, that's another thing in Buffy. They're like, oh, the Scooby Gang is their cute little name for their little group, which I think is adorable.
It's really adorable.
Yeah.
Also does not help me getting confused.
It doesn't. No, it just makes it way more confusing because Daphne and like Buffy. Yeah.
I'm like, they're
Sarah
Scooby
Michelle
Gang.
It's too confusing. Well, to wrap up, I do have a couple little games if you'd like to play.
Let's play a game. That's also a vampire film, right?
Jigsaw is actually a vampire.
I knew it.
Yeah. Same. He's kind of sexy in a way.
Oh yeah, what were you saying the other day? You were like Casper's sexy.
Oh yeah, Casper. I feel like I've had the hottest like of takes of just like what is that, like the weirdest takes too.
No,
Casper. I forget who else.
Who did I say? Because Casper is sexy.
You agreed.
But who did I say was sexy? Jigsaw, Casper.
Jigsaw and Casper.
I
think the penguin's sexy.
The penguin, like Colin Farrell, the penguin, or Danny DeVito?
Danny DeVito.
Amen.
Danny DeVito's penguin's very sexy. Colin Farrell's penguin does not do it for me, though I respect him and wouldn't want to cross him.
Truly. You know what? Danny DeVito as in Hercules. Sexy.
As the goat man?
As the goat man, yeah. Also sexy.
Oh, yeah. He's got something.
I think that's the best Danny DeVito performance.
I thought you were going to say has looked, and I was going to be like,
that is the best Danny DeVito has looked.
As a cartoon goat man.
I swear that's live action to me.
Oh my God. Honestly, I'm torn between witch and vampire. I feel like there's a lot of options with witch. Mm-hmm. Vampire, you're kind of stuck in a lane, even though I am really attracted to the aesthetic. I feel like with a witch, there's so much you can do. And if you wanted to look younger, you probably could. Or live forever. There's probably ways, but
I'm going to go with witch.
Yeah.
I want to be a witch like Kiki in Kiki's Delivery Service.
Oh, she's so cool.
All I need is to live above a bakery.
Yes.
And to hang out with my cat.
I love this. Yes. That's another thing about witches. They usually have like a cat around, or they're familiar. That'll maybe talk. Maybe the cat will talk to you. Hopefully, fingers crossed, and have some jokes.
Yeah. Be voiced by Phil Hartman.
Yeah. I think, I would also choose witch. I know this whole episode is about vampires and loving the idea of them, but I feel like vampires are a little more cursed or something. Like, you know,
they're brooding. They're
brooding.
always brooding. And I feel like in real life, I'm already brooding enough with my Scorpio moon. So I'd love to be the love witch.
The love witch. Yes. Yeah. I just think, I don't know, witches have more fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, totally. I really want to see the love witch. I love the aesthetics. Who would you want as your witchy best friend? Lafayette, Willow, or Bonnie?
Lafayette.
Yeah.
What about you?
Probably Lafayette or Willow, honestly. I feel like me and Willow are kindred spirits and would get along really well. But yeah. So probably Willow, but also Lafayette seems like he'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd love to hang out with him.
Seems like a fun time. If you were the chosen one, who would you want to be your guide? Would you want it to be Giles from the series or Merrick from the movie Buffy?
Who's Merrick in the movie?
He's the guy with the hat and like the Inspector Gadget coat. Like, who would you want to guide you through being like a vampire slayer?
Oh. You know, Merrick.
Yeah.
Because he reminds me of Papa, Master of Disguise. So
I was trying to think, who does he remind me of that I feel like oddly comforted, but also like, I don't know. His character's so kind of creepy and funny, but I know it's just a movie.
But I know you're in the Giles fan club. Giles?
Yeah. I know, like, wait, am I saying his name right?
I don't know.
I think it's Giles. What high school would you rather attend? The Sunnydale, or Mystic Falls?
Sunnydale, because it's Sunnydale, and that's like, I don't know a lot about Buffy, but that's the iconic high school.
It's iconic, and I don't care if there's like, I don't know, demons underground, like,
but I want to learn. Like, I want to be Buffy. I think, despite me not really like vibing with Buffy, I want to be Buffy the most. Out of all of them. Like, that seems like so fun,
doesn't it? I feel like she has the best storyline as far as like the protagonist. Like,
I want a guru and learn the ways and then slay vampires and demons.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Just go to school by day, at night. Just like, also, this is one thing I wanted to ask you. So like, what did you think about the teen, like the club in Buffy? Like how they have like, I think it's the Bronze is their club. Was that anything? And is that anything like the teen club that you had growing up?
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I always wanted to go to a teen club, but there was never one around. So I just watched Buffy and imagined.
Yeah. I only have vague memories because I wasn't going to the teen club. I was watching Twilight.
Yeah.
In my bedroom. And
oh, yeah. I thought you went to the teen club all the time.
A couple times.
Okay.
Just a handful of times.
Enough to get the vibe.
That's a story for a different day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll circle back to that.
Yeah. All my embarrassing stories of my youth happen at that club. Yeah.
No killing vampires then?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. Stefan or Edward?
Edward,
yeah.
Well, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, I would also choose him. And then would you rather date a vampire or a werewolf?
A vampire.
Yeah. They're sexier.
They are sexier. I also don't know anything about werewolves except Jacob.
Yeah. I feel like werewolves are unpredictable. Like, they disappear when the moon comes up, you know.
They are nicer.
Are they?
Maybe.
Yeah.
They have different vibes. They have more gentle vibes, but
I don't know if you've got to it yet in True Blood, but there is a werewolf storyline that's interesting.
I haven't gotten to it. I've heard about it though.
Yeah.
I've heard that's the beginning of the end, right?
Of
True Blood.
Oh, I don't know.
That's probably just from one article I read.
Maybe that's figurative. The beginning, the end of the good parts. But the werewolf there has like a bit of a lumberjack vibe. It's interesting. It's an interesting take on werewolves. I guess because they spend a lot of time in the woods. I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Also, there is a BuzzFeed quiz that I thought would be fun.
What can you be found doing on a Friday night? Working, hanging out with friends or family, chilling at home alone, or at a club or local hangout with my friends?
I don't know. Maybe friends or family. I feel like, I don't know. Sometimes chilling, but.
Which vampire town would you live in? Sunnyvale, California, Mystic Falls, Virginia, Forks, Washington, Bon Temps, Louisiana.
Oh my God. Bon Temps would be kind of fun, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But also California sounds cool. I feel like I'm so all over the place. I don't know. California.
Which vampire girl would you swap wardrobes with? Suki, Bella, Elena, or Buffy?
It would have to be Buffy. That's a no-brainer.
Pick a book to read before bed. I'm too tired to read from working all day.
Yes.
Wuthering Heights, Romeo and Juliet, and I'm too tired to read from being out late with friends.
I would say I'm too tired from working all day.
How is your hair? Usually in a ponytail. The same it's been my whole life, long and straightened. I just let it do its thing, or I change up the colors and or styles.
I just let it do its thing.
Would you want to be a vampire? It's my worst nightmare. I wouldn't mind a vampire boyfriend, though. No, I enjoy my life how it is. If vampires do exist, they should be human. It's my deep desire and wish. Or I have nothing against them. They're just like us. I don't mind either way.
The last one, yeah, I don't mind.
Where would you eat dinner? The Mystic Grill, the Bronze, Fantasia, the Carver Cafe.
Probably Mystic Grill, because I think the other places, I don't know what kind of food they have.
Pick a best friend. Willow, Bonnie, Alice, or Tara.
Oh, this is actually, I'm going to say Tara because I like her. Sometimes she's a little outspoken and I love that.
Choose an underrated sexy side character. Kai, Jackson Stackhouse, Xander, or Jasper Hale.
I'm going to say Xander.
You are Suki.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you're stubborn and a bit old-fashioned. You'd like to be walked to the doorstep on the first date and won't go on a second if you aren't. You do anything for your family, are great at reading people, and are a bit of a workaholic.
Oh, wow. Wait a minute. Oh, cool. Wow. All right. I mean, I like Suki. She's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Suki a lot.
Yeah.
Anna Paquin's great.
I like her. Did you want to take the quiz? Or
No,
you're good.
I'm good. Thank you, though.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It is a lot. No, I'm ready to go into my coffin.
Oh, yeah. Are you ready to go into the coffin?
No. But I do have a new appreciation for vampires now that you've enlightened me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking this journey with me.
Yeah. Thank you for catching me up.
Yeah.
And I definitely will be checking out some more True Blood. I love the idea that vampires can be an allegory. I love the love triangle-ness.
Love triangles are so much fun.
I love the dark side, the sexy vampire aesthetics. And it's one of those tropes and one of those characters that obviously stood the test of time so far. And I'm just ready for another vampire renaissance, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We're in like a dry spell, I guess, of vampires.
A vampire drought, but
yeah. Well, and I want to get into zombies too. We should maybe deep dive on some zombie films now that I'm thinking about it.
I'm ready for it.
It's spooky season, for goodness sakes.
Definitely. Well, we did get spooky.
Yeah.
So until next time.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Late to the Party is hosted by Nikki Jensen and Brie Picconi. Our podcast is produced by Grace Dunbar and edited by Brie.
That's me. Thanks for listening. Make sure to rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next week. Bye.